here. I don't see Alicia. Oh, there's Black. Hi, long time no see. Oh my God.
Hey.
Different. Is that Biora?
Yes, it is.
Hi, babe.
Hi, honey.
You want to see you? Okay, who's this one? Oh, Laura Bowman. Bowman.
Hey, Peggy. All right.
Your friend Deborah is here, Biora.
Who's here?
Deborah.
Oh, great.
And now Shoshana Wheeler. All my friends. This is so nice.
Hey,
Oh,
sweetheart, I have another appointment at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, okay, so anybody who wants to get a recording of the video, I'm gonna try and watch the clock. It might go a little over. So if you didn't make it to the end and you wanna see, if anybody doesn't make it to the end, put your name in the chat box, send it to Stephanie, and then I will send you a link for a recording, okay? You can watch it at your leisure, you can share it with friends, whatever. Okay, who is that? Biora, interesting visual, and Laura Bowman. Okay, so we'll wait one more minute and then we'll get started. Thank you for coming, everybody. So why don't we just go around and let everybody say where they're from, because it's pretty amazing where we have people. This is the great thing about doing Zoom. Okay, so you all know me. I'm Peggy. I'm in Ojai, California. And let's see, Carolyn, how about you go next? Okay, you might have to unmute yourself, you guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just want to say, if anybody needs to go at any time, don't feel any way. Just be gone and put your name in the chat, and we'll send you the recording. So, yeah. So, Carolyn, would you like to tell us where you're from?
Me again?
Yeah, we didn't hear you.
Carolyn Bowman. I'm also from Ojai, California.
Yeah. Carolyn's in my Toastmasters, and she is quite a grammarian. She is like amazing. Okay, how about you, Deborah? Would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm from Akron, Ohio, and I am a friend of Mary O'Connor's, who's Peggy's oldest friend ever.
It's true. Yes, 3 years old. Okay, how about you, Terry Davis?
I'm Terry Davis. I'm living in Malibu, California, and Peggy and I met over 20 years ago.
Wow.
Doing healing work.
Yes.
So, yeah. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Hello, Gail. Where are you? Oops, can't hear you. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go through and introduce everybody because time is of the essence. So this is Gail, and I can't remember where Gail lives. You can write it in the chat box. And Kathy Poppers. Hi, Kathy. She's from Santa Monica. We have our furthest distance winner here, Roger Spiller, all the way from New Zealand. Hi, sweetie. Thank you for showing up and supporting me. Roger and I do co-coaching, and he knows that this event has been long in the making. And
here's Gail, and she's from Aurora, Colorado, outside of Denver.
Thank you, Gail. Okay, we have Alicia Nowicki, who last I knew lived in Ventura. Oh, I can't hear you. Anyway, Shoshana lives in Thousand Oaks. Hi, Shoshana. And then we have Lauren Lewis. I'm not sure who Lauren Lewis is. Hi, Lauren. Where are you from? Can you turn your mute on? Mute on.
I think you have control of that, Peggy.
Peggy, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi. We met through Jonathan Collins, I think. But do you remember I brought my dog up and she got a treatment from that electrical machine you had?
Oh, yeah, in Woodland Hills. Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
You, hi. And there's Anita. Anita's from Ojai. And we have Laura. She's from Ojai. Lori Bowen. I can't remember where she is. And Tiffany. I don't know where she's from. But anyway, I'm going to get started. Thank you for showing up, everybody. And today, as you know, we are here to talk about building resiliency and optimism, because it is an important skill to have at these challenging times. And it's a little bit complicated with the share slides that I can't. Oh, hi, Bill Hefferman just joined us. All
The
the way
screen share worked for a minute.
Portland, Oregon.
There it is.
There it is.
You keep clicking out of it.
I know, because I'm not doing the next step, which I need to go up here and go live and get it to go big. Live. Okay. Here we go. So, yes, this is what we're going to be talking about today. And before we get started, I just wanted to see, you guys can see me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bill. If you want to make a comment, you can go down at the bottom there. There's a little chat bubble. You can make a comment. And then, although I cannot see it, so right now, and then if you want to raise your hand, you go to participants, and we'll be taking questions a little bit later. Any tech issues, as I said, Rafaela will be able to address those, and you can just send her a note in the chat, okay? So, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this today, because overcoming challenges has sort of been my life's work, and any of you know that know me well will know that this is true. And in the process, I have had to develop some coping skills, and I would identify two of the main skills that I've learned as resiliency and optimism. And these are things that people are born with, and it's also things that people can learn. And so I'm talking to you about that today. So challenges are part of life, and right now they're in abundance. And when it comes to challenges, what I've really noticed is that we can either be victims or we can be victors. Like, we can collapse under the challenge, or we can meet the challenge and become victorious over it. And sometimes that takes time. And I mean, I would certainly say in my case that has been true. So a lot of you are not, I had sent this out to a lot of people in business. And so if you're a manager, an employer, employee, or you're a person over 6 years old, you know about challenges, and you are probably navigating the storm of COVID-19. And so this is for you. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some practical tools. I'm going to share with you some stories, and just sort of we'll go through, hopefully give you some good tips on things that you can use. And I'll also be sharing some of my personal knowledge. So knowledge from the trenches, like things that I've learned through my own life experience. The knowledge is unique because it's unique to my life. It's tested and proven, and it's very practical. I mean, I've already time tested everything I'm going to talk to you about, and I know for sure that it not only works, but it can have a major transformational impact on your life. So you might want to have a pen and a paper if you want to take any notes. We'll be covering some information. I'll be showing you some models, and we won't be going into those in great deal. And if you hang out to the end, I have a free gift for you. It's my Inner Bigness Manifesto, and I have it printed on cardstock, and I put it on my bulletin board. And once in a while, I'll look over there and just get a little inspirational hit from that and help sort of boost my resiliency. And I'd like to, invite you to think about how you can put these ideas into action, so that you can use them in your own life. So you probably noticed that life is made of a series of challenges, and that's that. It's like there isn't anything we can do about it. I often say you can't control what challenges come to you, but you can control how you respond to those challenges. And I was listening to a really interesting interview between Eckhart Tolle and Russell Brand, who's my new hero, articulating hero. He's quite an articulator. And not in this interview though, because Eckhart talks about 98% of the time. Anyway, one of the things that really stood out to me that he said is, life is here to challenge you, not to satisfy you. I thought that was really interesting in terms of resiliency, because it's like resiliency is something that we are here to develop because it's the nature of the beast. It's like life is here to challenge us so that we evolve, that we grow, that we learn, that we become bigger, better people. And that's and it's not possible really without having some kind of inner strength and the other qualities that go along with resiliency that we're going to be talking about. So life equals challenges, and a challenge equals an opportunity for growth. So I think this is always a very important thing, and also a main key in the resiliency world is framing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than punishment from heaven or something that has to be endured, or please would somebody fix this. So there's lots of challenges right now, and I just sort of wrote down some of the things that people are going through. We're not able to do our normal routine. We're not able to interact with our friends and coworkers. We can't go to meetings, conferences, to the fun parks. We can't do concerts, which I am totally bummed about, because I normally go to like two a month at least, sporting events, and you know, all that. So people also are getting challenged because a lot of anxiety is coming up about working at home and not being able to visit their loved ones that are ill, and also with having the kids around all the time. And then there's challenges in the midst of all that, of keeping a positive mindset amidst all that, and not getting sort of swept into the weight of the negativity and getting into more negativity and victimhood, which is like completely splat on the ground. You can't even pick yourself up. And believe me, I've been there many times in my life when I'm just like, I can't do it one more time. And that's where some people are right now. And also another challenge is judging yourself for not handling your challenges better. And we're gonna talk about all of those in a little bit. And then there's the regular usual challenges, which probably everybody here has some of, you know, health, finances, relationship, and career. Those are the usual things, but right now, then we have all these other stuck load of challenges. So I would wish for you for a moment to just imagine an experience being free from all the challenges, and imagine that you're experiencing these things: ease and clarity, assuredness, connection, moving, you know, having a purpose, knowing what that is, and peace of mind. And I would like to share with you that this list came from my own experience of my recent experiences, came from my recent experiences of like the quality of my life. And I sort of feel like I've come to a certain plateau with certain challenges. I'm not making the same mistakes. I'm not making the same pattern choices. I'm not beating myself up, and I'm being a lot kinder to myself, having a lot of self-compassion. And I'm really having this sort of different kind of experience in my life. And this is what can happen when you have the resiliency and you have the optimism. So yeah, this is what happens when we deal with our challenges and we don't run away from them. So I think that that's a common mistake. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a little bit down the road. So a lot of you guys know me, and I'm a little person, and I have a little glass. And I'm right now 3.5 feet tall. This at 3 feet 8 inches. This photograph, I'm probably 3.5 feet tall. I think I'm 14 years old, and I'm standing there with none other than the real Rin Tin Tin. So when I was a kid, there were a lot of challenges. So it started, you know, the challenges of being a little person are innumerable, and it started before school. There was stuff with my family. I mean, family had difficulties having a person that looked as different as I did when we went out. I got stared at. You know, everybody had protective feelings, had feelings of sadness that it was hurting. Myself and my brother, also a little person. My sisters and my parents are average size. So it sort of started there, and then, well, it started earlier with my parents and their issues about having a child who was different. And then into that, and then school. And, you know, I'd be like walking home from school and a school bus would come by and the kids would run up to the window and start yelling midget, midget at me. And it was really like that kind of stuff happened a lot, like daily, pretty much. I had that sort of badgering and battling, and I had to build up a certain kind of resiliency for my self-esteem. And then in high school, there were challenges around dating. And then when I went to college, I went to college twice, and the second time I went to photography school. I was a talented photographer, and the dean told me that nobody was going to hire me because I was a little person. So lots of challenges. And by my mid-30s, I was caught in a negative spiral, and I was really going down. And I lived in Hawaii at the time. I lived on a beautiful fruit and flower farm with some friends, and it was amazing. And I'd wake up in the morning and burst into tears because my heart had so much pain, so much failure from rejection in relationships, so much failure around career, and all my best efforts put forward. I mean, there's a whole story that goes behind what it took me to get through Art Center. Anyway, but then at a certain point, I think I hit rock bottom. I was suicidal. I would wake up in the morning and think about ending my life that day. How would I do it? All this stuff. But there's something inside of me knew that that wasn't really going to get me to the end that I was seeking ultimately, which is freedom, right? Peace, ease. And I reached out and asked for support. And when I got support, things changed dramatically. I not only started my speaking career, I also met my husband, and I had my first like long-term successful relationship, which went for 17 years, and it was successful all the way up until the last minute, and it was amazing. And I also have been able to live with an open heart, which is something that I feel really braggadocious about, that I have had all of this kind of negative input, and I have done the work to be able to feel my life, to be able to feel pain, to be able to feel joy, and be able to feel bliss, and be able to feel the ecstasy of the moment. And yes, the other day I was standing at the beach, and the light and the waves and the sound and everything, and I was just like, tears were streaming down my face because I just am so touched and so lucky to have a body and so lucky to be alive. I also went on lots of adventures, and that's a really great blessing in my life, and of being resilient and optimistic, and imagining that I'm gonna, you know, go paragliding or go scuba diving, and that everything's gonna be okay. And I mean, those were some scary activities for sure. And I went to a lot of these places by myself. I went to New Zealand by myself, with the Grand Canyon on the right, with this waterfall. I went with some friends. Went to Bali with the coconut. I went there by myself. So as I'm telling this story, you may be like, okay, well, that's her life. Well, what about me? And, you know, challenges are personal. We all have them. But the thing that is universal among all that is that hardships and transformation are universal. So we all know what pain is. We all know what difficulties are. We all know what it's not like to not get what we want. We all know what it's like to be sort of tempted into sort of slouching down and falling down into despair when it's just, you know, there's an important, we lose somebody really important, or a huge disappointment, or overwhelming fear that just completely collapses us. So I just want you to think for yourself. I'm sure maybe while I've been talking about all this, you've related a little bit to some of the hardships that you've had in your life. And think about a time when you have actually rebounded from a challenge, and see if you can recollect something that you learned, something that you gained. some way in which you grew. I mean, some people learn a new love language. Some people learn how to respond differently. Some people, you know, all kinds of things. Learn patience, self-compassion, compassion for others. So those are all things that help us become more fully who we are and fulfill our potential, fulfill our destiny. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit deeper. Skip the page on my notes. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about resiliency and optimism. So when you have those things, some of the really great benefits is that you can rebound, you have more clarity, you're more productive and creative. You can lead with confidence, you can triumph victoriously, and also you can solve your problems, which I think is probably the greatest thing on the whole list, because if you don't solve your problems, I know if you've ever noticed, but problems keep coming back, recycled, but each time there's a little bit more of a punch behind them and it hurts a little bit more. You get a little bit, it might go from a cold to pneumonia to, you know, hospitalization. So that you stop the pattern of life knocking on your door going, hello, we're here to teach you this lesson and you're not getting it, so we're going to have to knock a little bit harder now. So the thing about dealing with your challenges is that, like I said, you may get some new skills, you may have some added qualities, but it transforms you as a person, but it also transforms your life, which is so amazing. I mean, when I think of each decade of my life, I mean, after maybe 30, I wouldn't say, I mean, from first, surely for all of us, from 0 to 30, it's changing all the time because our circumstances, because we're growing and we're moving from here to there and doing different things. But from 30 on, I mean, things get a lot more stable. And I would say even from then, and I had my downswing during my 30s and the beginning of my upswing in my 40s. And, you know, each decade has been a whole other kind of experience with life. And each time it's more, I'm more resourceful, I'm more present, I'm enjoying more, and then the people who show up are more aligned with me, all kinds of stuff. So just to check in about resiliency's ability to recover quickly from difficulties. It has a lot of other meanings also. So, which have to do with your ability to like get knocked down and come back. So, I mean, I guess that's what this says in a few words, but anytime you experience some kind of devastating event and you feel like you just have to go in your room and close the door and don't anybody disturb me, then this process of actually working your way out and coming back and facing and dealing with the situation is what resiliency is all about. And optimism is a positive outlook. It's an anticipation of a positive outcome. So, you know, you could say a positive mindset, right? Okay. So, both of these skills, optimism and resiliency, come to us by nurture, and they also come by nature. So we may have gotten some genetically, and we also get it from our environment. So it would say, you know, pay attention to the people that you hang around, because that can often really impact your level of optimism and resiliency if you're hanging around a bunch of victims. So I'm going to share with you now 3 strategies to be more resilient and optimistic. And you know, I had to search through like a litany of options of things that I could put here, and hopefully, you know, we're gonna in a few minutes I'm gonna tell you about if you want to have more of this information, there's going to be a 5-week class, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. And there you'll see, you know, how much this involves. And it was hard for me to pick 3, but I tried to pick 3 I think that have really supported me the most in making a transition in my life. And the first thing is a positive mindset. And doing that by commanding the critical voices to stop. So critical voices could be inside, critical voices could be outside. And critical voices inside, it's that voice telling you that you can't do it, you're not enough, you're not blank enough, pretty enough, funny enough, smart enough, cool enough, popular enough, whatever. And then there's also the critical voices from the outside. And like the dean, when he told me that no one would hire me, I would call that an external critical voice. And in each case, we want to disengage with those voices. If it's somebody in our life, we can just politely say, it's not okay for you to judge me, and walk away. And if it's in our own mind, we can be a little bit more vivacious and command the voice to stop just by saying stop. So it's really a 3-step process with ourselves. We pay attention to the inner dialogue. Then when we hear the voice, we command it to stop. And then we come back to the magic of the moment. The second thing is looking for the gift inside your challenges. And I think this is probably the number, I can't say the number one. It's right up there in the top 3, and that's why it's on this page. Is that before I actually started looking at my challenges and saying, oh, here's an opportunity for me to grow, to learn, to evolve, I was always thinking, why is this happening to me? Why doesn't somebody fix this? What's going on here? This isn't right. And feeling kind of put out that all this negative stuff was happening to me. And then when I learned to turn it around and reframe it and ask the question, how is this difficulty helping me grow? Then it took on, the challenges took on a whole other meaning. And actually, that's when my life really started to transform, is because I started to face the challenges and see that there was a benefit in doing that. And the third one is practicing self-care and self-compassion by making healthy choices and giving yourself a break. So I think it's really important when we're dealing with challenges. There's a tendency to judge ourselves and to get down on ourselves and give ourselves a hard time that we're not doing it well enough, we're not doing it right enough, we're not, moving fast enough, we're getting sidetracked, and there's so many things that we can come up with criticism around. I think it's really important to remember that we're by design, we're not perfect. We came here to learn and to grow and to evolve. So that's like by design. We're born to make mistakes. We're designed that way. And then I think also that paying attention to the choices that you make moment to moment, day by day, meal by meal, sleep, eating, exercise, all that stuff, brushing your teeth, hanging out with your friends, making sure you have time for laughing and music and dancing and art and the things that you love, being with your favorite people, that all of those things will help you to have that sort of, allow that inner strength and presence come to the forefront when you have to deal with your challenges. So these are some photos. Shoshana, did you want to say something? Okay, good. And you're the only person I can see right now, so that's why. And you were holding your pen up like you had a question. So I mentioned that I went to Art Center College of Design, which was this really, really hard school. And even for 6-foot guys, it was very hard. And these are some of the photos that I took towards my graduation. This is the portfolio that I showed the dean, and after which he told me that comment that no one would hire me. So the thing that happened there was that I finished school, I graduated a month later, and then within 6 months I was living in Hawaii, and I basically dropped out. I mean, most of my friends were either living in New York or LA after that. The people that come out of Art Center are like top notch. It's like going to Harvard. It's like you're noted to be one of the best artists in your field. And they were all seeking, and many of them have gone on to have amazing careers. Anyway, I was left with the dean of the voice stuck like a recording tape in my mind over and over saying to me, you'll never get hired, you'll never get hired, you'll never get hired. And unfortunately, I didn't really understand about silencing the critical voice, which I was just explaining to you. And then I learned about how I need to pay attention and how I need to stop that voice when it comes up so that I cannot get beaten down into the ground. And I ended up learning how to do that. I learned how to command the voice to stop. And from that, I was able to then start a speaking career. And as you know, from what I just showed you, my picture on the cover of Speaker Magazine, I went on and had a really lovely career doing that, and hopefully I'll be doing that more and more these days as well. So there's an example of, I'm just gonna take a look at you guys first. Do this. This is why I haven't been seeing you much because, okay, now. Okay, good. Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to say hi and say that learning that one skill completely changed my life. And it's like, that wasn't the only time I've had to have, use a critical voice. I have to use it like almost every time I do anything new, anything difficult, anything where I'm out of my comfort zone, anything that, walking out my door, really. So it's an amazing skill, and I hope you guys took some notes so you can remember how to do it. I'm gonna go back to where we were before, screen share. Wait, share, and here we go. Okay, so I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore because this is not, when we do it at Toastmasters, we seem to be able to go back and forth much easier. I love this quote from Teddy Roosevelt. That this is talking about that thing about the negativity in our mind, that the only limits on our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. So this is like an amazing person, amazing leader, and here he is recognizing this very fundamental part of like a fulcrum or a main pillar of resiliency, which is keeping a positive mindset. So, whoopsie, it's a picture of my friend Therese, and I did some coaching with her, and she wrote me this later. She said, through reframing my traumatic early years with an abusive mother as an opportunity to grow, I was able to get out of a job that was making me miserable. The transition took her maybe 6 months or a year, but I can't tell you for how many years. She's a friend of mine from college, and I can't tell you how many years I heard her complaining about her job and how much she hated it. And it wasn't until she started to recognize that this challenge with her mother, if she could reframe it and see what it was there for her to learn, that she actually could, it not only change her, but it changed her life, which it did. So one big mistake that people make about challenges is believing it either consciously or unconsciously, that if they ignore their problems, they'll go away. I mean, raise your hand if anybody grew up in a household like that. Right? Yeah. So I think most of us had that as our MO when we were growing up, because it was a very popular belief system back then. So I would say that's not true and only leads to the continuation of the challenges getting more and more intense, as I talked about earlier. So I'm gonna share a story now about my brother. He is also a little person. He was the firstborn in our family. And as I said, I have 2 average-sized parents and 2 average-sized sisters. And then my brother is the oldest, I'm the youngest. And we were 8 years apart. We didn't really interact that much because he was always at another school and then went off to college by the time I was in 5th grade. Anyway, the thing about him is that he had this belief. He had the belief that if he ignored his problems, they would go away. And very sadly, he developed very severe alcoholism to the point that we had to, he was a single parent, he lost his marriage, and we had to threaten to take his young daughter away. She was about 6 years old at the time. And he started the AA program, and he's rehabilitating slowly, but he lost his ability to think clearly. He lost his ability to advocate for himself. He lost all resiliency. I'm sure his superego and his inner critic were beating the heck out of him. So yeah, he doesn't, and one of the reasons that I know that this is true about him is that because he, like I did up until I was maybe 28 when I met Anna Halprin, didn't actually think I was a little person. I was just sort of like, oh yeah, I have this thing on, but I'm not, people don't, that's not really who I am, and people can see that about me. Well, some people can and some people can't. That's what I'd say about that. Probably most of the people on this call are the ones that can, and that's why we're friends, and thank you very much. So anyway, dealing with the challenges definitely helps. So when you don't build resiliency and optimism, a lot of difficulties can sort of pile up, and you can spiral downward, you can get into despair, your relationships fall apart. You might notice the same challenge coming back time and time again, as I mentioned earlier, and you might even fall into victimhood, blaming others for your problems, not taking any responsibility, not recognizing that you have the power to change and to choose and to heal. And you also miss the opportunity to evolve your life, to have it become better, which is, I think, really why we're all here. And if you do build resiliency and optimism, you can grow and evolve, and you can fulfill your goals, and you can get respect from yourself and others. You can, your relationships become easier and more enriching, and all that other stuff that's on there. Your purpose becomes more forefront in your life. And actually purpose is another very strong pillar of resiliency. When we have meaning, when we have purpose, we have a lot more resiliency. And we're able to deal with our challenges and bounce back a lot better. And we also ultimately evolve. We become a bigger, better person. So I wanted to share with you a little bit my model for elevating resiliency and optimism. It starts in the bottom left-hand corner. And as I looked at what are the main things that are the main segments of work that one needs to do in order to develop these skills and master them, these are some of the things that I came up with. So one is a positive mindset, which we've talked about. Another one is healthy choices. And of course, there's healthy choices on many, many, many levels. Attitude, thoughts, feelings. We choose the clothes we wear. We choose what words come out of our mouth. We choose how often we breathe. We choose how deeply we breathe, and on and on and on. I mean, there's infinite amount of choices that we make. And the more that we make choices that are life-supporting, that support our life, our health, the more our best self will show up in each and every situation. And when we have to deal with challenges, that can sometimes be a deal breaker. I mean, a deal maker, that we're able to move through the challenges. Or a stress breaker, we could say that. So identifying your superpowers, I think it's very important. Part of resiliency is to recognize and honor and acknowledge your strengths, your talents, your gifts, and let compliments in when people are talking to you about how great you are. My favorite, when I get a compliment now, my favorite new response is, "Thank you for noticing." So it's always, people are a little bit shocked when I'm like, oh, I guess she's kind of confident. Anyway, but I do feel that way. I feel like, okay, if somebody notices that I'm some positive quality, I'm usually experiencing that, and they're reading it. And anyway, so peace with your past, healing your past, dealing with the past is very important, because I'm not going to go into the whole thing now, but anybody who knows about trauma knows that the nervous system gets stuck and it cannot move. It's like a tree that gets chopped down and it can't grow because it's truncated, and there's a big freeze inside of the nervous system. So Sometimes we need to do some trauma work. Sometimes we need to do some emotional work. Sometimes we need to do some physical work with things that have had some maladies that have happened in our body. And then last thing is connecting with something bigger. So that could be like your higher power, your higher self, any concept of God, or something that something that you feel connected to outside of yourself. So that's sort of the basic model for the resiliency thing. And then I have this inner bigness model too, which I don't know. Yeah.
Anita has a question. I don't know whether she wants to ask it now or later.
Yes. Who is it? Nusa?
Anita, please
Anita.
unmute yourself.
What's up, Anita? Okay, I'm going to keep going. So you guys can just read this. I'll read it with you. I'm not going to go into all these things, but this is another model that I have that we'll be going much more into in the longer course, but it again deals with the first thing first, silence your critical voice. Focus on, focus off means focus on what strengthens you, put your attention off what weakens you, celebrate your wins. We just talked about that. Aligning with your highest values, identifying them and aligning with them. I can't read what's under the yellow one. Comfortable with the uncomfortable. Okay, my favorite thing that nobody ever wants to talk about. We're gonna be talking a lot about that in the training. Facing the dragon, which has to do with being uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, because it means facing your shadow, facing your inner fears. Mostly those fears generate around fear of the unknown, fear of being nothing, and fear of your own deficiency. And those are very hard places to go by yourself. And when you have support, it's actually quite easy to go through them. And I said I wasn't going to get into a big thing about all this, so I'm going to move on. Opening the portal to your higher self. So yeah, like Eckhart Tolle, when I saw him the other day, he made this point several times. The challenges are portal to the transcendent, to your higher self. And I think it's really important to recognize that not only with challenges do we have an opportunity to become more functional, more capable, more loving, but we also have an opportunity to become more whole and more attuned and embodying our true nature, which is the last step on this model. Okay, so think for a moment, you guys, what challenge is holding you back? Now, Stephanie, if I want to see the chats, how can I do that? Because I don't even have a cursor. I think I have to come out of here. Okay. Oh, there's Trisha. Hi, Trisha. So
Peggy, did you find chats? You're on mute.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I wanted to see if you guys would put in your, if you want to share, you don't have to share, some kind of challenge that you're dealing with right now that's holding you back. So you think of that, and it could be something like, you know, my critical voice. You don't have to say what it's beating you down about. It could be that you're miserable and your child and you are estranged. Could be that you're dealing with some physical illness. So I'd like to see these two. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, basically, okay, good. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Bill Hefferman. What a handsome picture of you. There it is. Terry, thank you. Yes. So can I say what yours is, Terry? Yeah? Yeah, so Terry's feeling challenged with all the time on her hands and how to really make herself productive and let her creative juices flow. I think that's something that we're all challenged with because we have so much extra free time because we're not going anywhere. Old mental patterns of getting bogged down when the path isn't, the forward isn't clear. Yeah, that's difficult. I mean, and lack of clarity is a big, another pillar for resiliency. And one of the ways that we can create more clarity for ourselves is by dealing with some of our difficult emotions. And just very briefly, one thing I could suggest about that is writing in your journal about the things that make you upset and just letting flow of consciousness go, and afterwards closing your book and letting yourself feel strength inside your body, letting yourself feel the sort of red energy, this kind of inner strength that rises up when we let go of the things that we're upset about. Okay, so thank you for sharing, everybody. Yeah, new fears about COVID. Yeah, it's coming back. Okay, so now I have to go back into the dungeon. It's sort of a drag that I have, and that I have the choice of seeing you or sharing slides. So I'm going to figure this out before the next time I do this again, because I don't really like this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just to review, we talked about a couple of strategies for being more resilient, and we can sustain a positive mindset through commanding the voice to stop. We can look inside for the gift in our challenge, and we can also practice self-care and compassion. So you guys, I'm not going to do this because it's so hard to get any answers. Okay, no, actually I am. What's been most valuable so far? I'm going to exit. And I'd just like you, if you would like to raise your hand and comment, if you would unmute yourself before you speak, that will save some time. So who can share what's been most valuable for them so far? Don't everybody go at once. Bill? I think he left.
I think that if I'm working with my group at church, and we're thinking about going back to opening up the church for services and such, and it has to look different for the accommodation of people to be safe environmentally. And what helped me here is to bring as much clarity to the members as we can prior to them getting there, so they're not in complete confusion.
Yeah.
And it's because it's going to look different. It's going to be different than what it used to be. So I think clarity was real helpful for me to hear. Thank
you. Anybody else want to share briefly? Anything that's been helpful? Terry?
I think just the overall reminder that we're in control. It's easy to slip into a malaise, and harder to time. Know that it's up to you to step up and take the challenge. Andrew, my husband, shared with me this morning that he heard someone say, instead of a challenge, look at it as a dance.
Beautiful.
And you know, so it's just you're in control of being able to turn around that positive mindset. It's everything you've said is a ripple effect or a domino effect for the positive as opposed to the negative.
It's true. And if you sign up, you'll go on the sales page. There's a picture of a guy standing, and the dominoes over here are falling on him, and then he's holding them up, and these ones over here are still standing. And it's another really important point, and I wrote about it in either one of my emails or the social posts I did for this class, is that that it's important to identify between which things we can change and which things we cannot change. Because if you go around trying to change the things that you can't change, and I have this great story about, if you didn't read it, my mentor many years ago said to me, Peggy, it seems like you're invested in a fantasy that one day you're going to wake up and be average size and all your problems are going to be gone. And wouldn't your batting average be better if you instead focused on changing some of the things that you can change, changing things like, your attitude, your thoughts, your identity, your choices, who you hang out with. I mean, there's a long list of things that I could change. And that was a very pivotal moment. And we will be, in the training, we'll be talking much more in detail, and you'll have some really good exercises over helping you identify things. And even just from this short little story, you can identify the things that have helped you to identify the challenges that you have, and things that you can't change. And that serenity prayer, letting yourself grow acceptance for them. And then the things that you can't change, bringing your courage to that and applying yourself.
So I liked looking for the gift and the challenge. That was a great reminder. I have been, my blood pressure's through the roof, which it never is.
Oh, interesting.
Watch out for Fiverr. FIVERR, tech support. I was completely lied to. And yow. So look for the gift and the challenge. I'm looking for the gift.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to the cave now. Thank you for sharing, everybody. It was really great to hear your stories. And you got to hear another story of mine. And I'm going to go off into the sunset here because we're almost done. So we talked about some of the ideas that you resonated with, and I think this is kind of a funny thing, is that the biggest problem with problems is that they don't go away. They just are always there. And, every day, every week, every month, there's a whole nother thing of them. And it's like what Eckhart Tolle said, life isn't here to satisfy you, it's here to challenge you. It's here to help you to grow, because that's your whole point of being here. So the question might be how to get through, all of this difficulty and thrive. And I just want to let you know that I have a lot of information, not only from my own personal experience, but in helping other people that I've coached. Some of you may or may not know that I'm a psychotherapist, and I have several certifications, and I do tapping, I do psychotherapy, and I do trauma work with people. And so I have and I've worked with lots of corporations in helping people to navigate through the difficulties that come up and how to work through them. So I'm just going to introduce the course that I'm going to be teaching. It's called the same title as this, Building Resiliency and Optimism, Increasing Productivity Even in Uncertain Times. And if you notice here, the weeks, each one of these weeks is devoted to one of the steps that I had on that lame model that I made that was super lame, but I need get some graphic help. Everybody, I'm sure, is aware of that by this point. Anyway, yeah, so we'll be talking about resilient mindset, about the choices we make, about how to work with our superpowers, how to leverage them to help us put us in our best positions, to have us in showing up in places where we can win, where we can be strong, where we can succeed. And then triumphing over today includes triumphing over the past. And the last part will be activating your fullest potential, and that will have a little bit more of a spiritual twist to it, to talk about what it is to actually come into embodying your true nature and your essence. So when you do this work, when you work on these qualities, it doesn't just take your problems away, it also changes your life. So there's like, it's really quite a journey that you can have. So here, I wrote down in detail, I don't know, you guys can just have a quick glance at that. I'm not going to read it, but it's what we're going to be talking about in each one of the things. And I have and actually it is not week 1 and week 2. I changed it to doing 2 classes per week. So it's a little misleading. I made a mistake there. And then weeks 4 and 5 look like this. Dealing with traumas, dealing with learning how to do self-empathy, seeing your challenges from a bigger perspective. I just had a dream the other night that I was on this, moving across the water on this big kind of aluminum, very odd kind of mast with a little boat underneath it. And I was so high up and I could see in so many directions. And I feel like that's sort of my point of view at the moment. It's sort of amazing. Anyway, working with your values, your inner wisdom, and that's going to be a lot of what the last, and also we're going to have a bonus that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. The training is also going to involve 2 coaching sessions. We're going to have like 60 minutes, and I'm going to work with you one-on-one during those calls, and that'll be part of it. And then we also have some bonuses, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. So because of time and because this isn't working so well, I'm going to just move on. So I just want to let you know that I actually have worked at some pretty cool places and people are very appreciative of my work and seem to have, I just feel like everywhere I go, people appreciate what I do and have a lot of nice things to say, and always feels good that I have a understanding that I've actually given them something that can give them some transformational power in their life. So yeah, to go into all of this stuff deeper, it takes more time, and that's what I'm sort of offering and gonna give you an opportunity if you want to do some more study with me. And it's not for everybody. If you're not coachable, if you're not really willing to take a look at your challenges, if you're not really willing to self-reflect, if you're not willing to be out of your comfort zone, it's probably not such a great thing for you. But if you have a burning desire to up-level your experience in your life, to have more ease, to have more inner peace, to have more outer success, to have more resiliency and optimism, all right, let's go. So yeah, the offering is for all that stuff, and then I'm going to tell you about some bonuses. It's $197, and yeah, so that's what the price is. I usually get paid a lot for this in keynotes. I haven't been doing it so much online, so I didn't want to make up something that was my normal fee, but this is going to be a beta course, which means that I'm going to ask you guys to give me some feedback and some testimonials at the end. That's really the only ask from my side. But after that, the price is going to go up a couple $100. And there's 100% money back guarantee. And bonus on number 1 is going to be learning to inquire, which is probably the most priceless skill that I have in my life, that involves coming into, it's sort of like using the moment as a portal into your divine dimension. And I'm going to teach you how to access that. And that is where inner wisdom comes from. That's where our guidance comes from. And that's where we get the knowing that we're going in the right direction when we make decisions and when we have intuitions and all that kind of stuff. And inquiry has been an extremely powerful tool for being in transforming myself and my life. Another one is I'm going to offer you my unstoppable guided becoming unstoppable meditation, and it'll be an MP3 that you can play at any time, and that will both help to de-stress and also to give rise to your inner strength. So in the class altogether, you get the 5 live classes with me. You get some worksheets for each module. You get the 2 group coaching sessions, and then you get the 2 bonuses. learning to inquire and the meditation. And again, the investment is $197. Okay, so for all of you who've stayed, you can redeem your free gift. Oh my God, I feel like one of those people on TV. So if you want to get the gift, all you have to do is type that into your URL when we hang up, freegift.peggyspeaks.com. And you can get your free gift. You can print it out. You can put it up on your bulletin board. Okay. What else have we got? So I was probably supposed to say 20 zillion other things, but anyway. So I just want you to imagine again that life when you have ease and you have clarity, you have assuredness, you have connection to yourself, to the earth, to your friends, to your family, to your peeps, and you have a heart that's full of joy and love and compassion effortlessly. So that's what building these skills can do. That's what doing this work can do for you. And also, more than anything, will help you to eradicate the reoccurrence of the issues showing up again and again. So with the skills and mastering the skills of resiliency and optimism, you grow, you learn, you transform, your life gets easier and happier, but more importantly, and most importantly, you move in the direction of becoming who you really are, of becoming your destiny, of fulfilling your destiny. And I don't know if you guys know of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's shaped like a triangle, and at the bottom are security, and then things like food and shelter, and then things like self-esteem, and then belonging, and these kinds of things. And at the very top is this thing called fulfilling your destiny. I also call it self-actualization. And it actually is a place in a part in life that most people seek, which is to have meaning, and which is to have purpose, and to have some kind of sense of, I know why I'm here and I'm doing that. And that also can come out of this kind of process. So if you want to do that, you could take action. I think that the link is working. And if it doesn't work, I would ask you to go to PayPal. And Sophia, could you put in the chat my email address if they want to pay on PayPal? I mean, not Sophia, I'm sorry, Raphael. Sorry. And it put my address as yopeggy@AOL. So I was having trouble with my Stripe just before I got on the call. My assistant texted me while we've been talking, and she let me know that it's good. And I'm going to take questions in a second, but first I want to say hi to everybody. Thank you for coming and being here with me today. It's been a real pleasure, and that is like the funniest picture I've seen in a long time. So I'm going to come back over so where I can interact with you, and yeah, oh my gosh, look, everybody's still here. Thank you, everybody. John Hawk, I want to see you because I haven't seen you since I was teaching TM like 35, 40 years ago. Please, may I see you? Okay, anybody have any questions, comments, anything? Roger, you're still here. Hi.
What was the link again for the free thing? It kind of happened fast there for me.
Oh yeah, can you type it in the chat, Rafaela? And send it to everybody?
I already did, but I will type it again.
freegift.peggyspeaks.com.
It is in the chat.
Okay, good. Can you see it, Trisha?
I will look now.
Okay. Hi, Laura. McKim. Anybody have any questions, comments?
No, thank you. That was, it was my Haagen-Dazs ice cream for today.
I did go over the time. That was amazing. I mean, I was supposed to say 20,000 other things, but I was trying to also pay attention to the time and stay with the slides. So, and I talked really fast. Did I talk too fast for you guys?
No. No, you were fine.
No, you can hear me? Okay, I was articulating well enough.
Yes.
Good. Last
Is-
chance question.
I have a question, Gail, concerning motivation in doing this kind of thing. Is that often a stumbling block too? To, you know,
I think that anytime you get ready to do something that's out of your comfort zone, it's a stumbling block. So yeah, I think that's normal. And I think it's critical voices, you know, every time you put the bar up, the critical voice comes in and says, who are you to think you can do that? Why do you think you should give yourself an easier life? I just want to, you know, give you a hard time. So just hang out with me. So how's that for an answer?
that's accurate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. Bye, Shoshana. Anybody else?
I just want to say, Peggy, you are
Thanks,
such
Peggy.
an inspiration.
Thank you. And can anybody that didn't share earlier want to share? I'd love to hear maybe the thing that you got that was most valuable for you, or you could write it in the chat.
Well, being a little person myself, I can totally relate to you, Peggy. You know,
That's true,
your-
Gail.
your stories are like spot on. Yeah. So anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad. I'm missing little people, and of course, we're not having a conference this summer, which I'm totally bummed about.
Yeah.
Another challenge, another disappointment.
A lot of cancellations, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Good to see you, Peggy, for the first time. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes, I know. I've been waiting to hear from you because I need a massage, girl.
I'm doing it.
Good. Or the amazing masseuse and cranial sacral therapist.
Nice.
Yeah, she does really good work. And she's in Ventura for anybody who's nearby. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So any last chance, anybody? You have everybody know how to do if you want to come to the course. You're just going to go to, what did we say? Rafaela, how do they do it? Oh my God.
They just need to click on the link for registration. You said your assistant normally should be working. If it's not, use PayPal directly.
No, but how do they get to the sales page?
I put the link in the chat.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, so you can go to the sales page and you can, click that. You'll go to the sales page and you'll have a review of everything that we just talked about because I spent like a million years writing all this information down for you to review what you just heard. Anyway, and please, I'm going to send you guys an email with a recording. If you have any friends that you think might benefit from this, if you would like to let them see the cart's going to be open. I'm going to close the cart on Monday next week at 6 p.m. You can sign up for the class until then, or if any of you have friends that this might be helpful for, please send them my way. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Peggy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Peggy. It's awesome.
Could I call you in a minute on Skype?
Bye-bye.
Bye, Gail. Ryder, I'm going to call you when we hang up, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye,
thanks, Peggy. I loved it.
Thank you. And John Hawk, I didn't get to see you. Where are you? And Bill Hefferman. Oh, now I get to actually see people. Thank you, Carolyn. Maybe John Hawk's not here anymore. Oh, who's that? Martha? Sorry, Bowen. Okay, Rafaela.
Yes.
There's Bill. Hi, Bill.
Hey, I have terrible video and audio connection here, so I haven't.
No, you're not. I'm going to call you in a little bit because I want to talk to you, get some feedback.
Okay.
Thanks, love. Thank you for coming. It really touched me a lot. Appreciate it. Okay, Rafaela.
Yes.
What do we need to do now? Anything?
No, I will upload the recording to my private cloud and send you a link tomorrow. And
Okay.
You will have it tomorrow when you wake up.
Very
With the recording, and then also with just a little guide on how you can make me co-host, because it's something which you haven't allowed yet in your
Yes.
account settings.
I did get like a Zoom training from one of my professional speaker friends, and I forgot that I needed to watch it. I mean, I didn't forget that I needed to. I forgot that I had it. But now that we've done this, I see that before I do this again, I definitely need to watch it, and I'm not going to use Keynote anymore because that was a nightmare. I mean, not a nightmare, but I didn't like that I couldn't interact with the people without having to go through something, and time was short, and as I said, I left out a lot of things I wanted to talk to them about, and I didn't do the sales very well, but that's my learning.
It was very good. The thing just is with Zoom, if you're not using two screens, you can't have your PowerPoint and see all the people directly. You can see a few if you don't put it into full modus on your own screen, but you can't have them simultaneously in split screen, for example.
Right. Well, when I've done it at Toastmasters, I've given slideshows. And I use Keynote. So I don't know why there I could see and here I can't. Seems a little bit odd. But I'll look into that, and then I'll be writing, I'll write you about it and we can talk more.
Perfect.
Okay.
Very good.
So good. I'll look forward. You're going to send the recording link to me in an email. Is that correct?
Yes.
How long
I'll send it via email.
How long will it take about?
I can send it to you tomorrow morning my time, because it's 1:30 a.m. at my place now.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because it takes a while. Okay, because I wanted to send the confirmation email out today if anybody signs up, but they can get it tomorrow. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Very well.
Do you have any comments for me? Any feedback?
It was very good. Very good.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.